All right, students, so this is a quick video, maybe not that quick. It's going to show you how to create frequency distributions and graphs in Excel. Okay, so what you're going to want to do, why don't we go ahead and take a look at the variable sex. So let's go ahead and find the variable sex. It's alphabetized, so we scroll to the right a little bit, and then we find the variable sex. Okay, now I'm going to copy this, copy the whole column. So this is getting all 1,500 cases. Yes, so it's got all 1,500 cases. And then I'm going to open up a new sheet. So how do I open up a new sheet? I come down here to the bottom left, I click on this plus sign, then I have a new sheet. So now I'm just going to put it here in the B column. I paste it. Okay, so now that I have that, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click here and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to press insert. And I'm going to press insert pivot table. So it's asking me, do I want to create a new worksheet or do I want to produce this on an existing worksheet? And I'm just going to produce it on an existing worksheet. I'm just going to put it somewhere over here. So I'm going to click existing worksheet, then I'm going to click here, and I'm going to press OK. So now this is where it's going to put my frequency distribution. I see to the right, we have this pivot table fields here. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to click sex, and I'm going to drag it down to the rows. So I'm going to pick it up, drag it, I'm going to click rows. So now it provides me with rows, 1, 2, blank, grand total. Okay, nothing there yet. So what I need to do again is come over here to the sex, and I'm going to scroll and drag it over to values. So now I have the actual count. So I know that there were 1,500 respondents. There were 686 males and 814 females. I'll get to this 1 and 2 later. But I'm going to do that 2 more times. I'm going to click sex, drag it down here, and then sex, and I'm going to drag it down here. Yeah, so all these procedures are actually much more labor intensive and much more time consuming when you do them with Excel. So now that I did that 3 times for the 3 values, I'm going to come over here to this section that says row labels, and I'm going to label it at sex, because I know that I'm looking at the variable sex. Now I see here 1, I see 2, and I see blank. So I want to get rid of this blank because we didn't have anybody who didn't answer the question. So I'm going to come over here to the right and hit this arrow. And I'm going to uncheck this blank, and that'll get rid of that blank. Okay. So now I have 1, 2, and I have ground total. Now I know, because I've just been dealing with this data set for a while, that 1 corresponds to male and that 2 corresponds to female. But if you didn't know that, there's 2 ways to figure that out. Now the first way to do that is to come over to our course shell, and then come over here, follow this to SPSS and GSS data set, and then right down here, you're going to have the code book. So you're going to click on this code book. It's going to open up. And this will tell you how the General Social Survey coded each variable. So, for example, if you're like a male, and then the General Social Survey asks you, what's your sex? And then you say male, they're not going to put down male. They're going to put down 1, and then 1 means male. And that's the way it's going to be for every single one of these variables. So if we come over here to sex, so sex is on page 39. So I'm going to scroll down to page 39. And I see that, yes, sex, the variable sex, male is 1, and then females are 2. 686 males, 814 females, 45%. 45.7% are males, 54.3% are females, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back over here to this Excel, and then I'm gonna put, instead of having 1 here, I'm gonna put male. Instead of having 2 here, I'm gonna put female. So it's letting me know that 1 corresponds to male, 2 corresponds to female, that I'm looking at the variable sex. Now when I'm gonna come over here, when I see count of sex, what I wanna do is I wanna put frequency. So I'm gonna put frequency because I want to produce a frequency distribution. This provides me with, again, it tells me that there's a frequency of 686 males, 814 females, adds up to 1,500. The frequencies always need to add up to the total. Here I have grand total, or Excel provides me with this grand total, but you could just leave that, or you could rename that N or total if you want to. Now here we have this count of sex too, which means, because I scroll that down to the value section 3 times. So what do I want to have here? In a typical frequency distribution, you'd have both the frequencies and the percentages. So what I want to put here is percentage. So I'm just going to type in percentage, and then here I'm going to type in C percentage, because I want percentage to go here and I want cumulative percentage to go here. Okay, but right now all it's displaying are the frequencies, the counts. So I now need to alter these 2 columns, this one to be percentage and this one to be the cumulative percentage. How do I do that? I'm going to come down here. So frequency, it has a count. It's telling me that in the value field, it's telling me show values as no calculation. It's just giving me the count. Okay. Now, but for the percentages, I want to actually not display the counts. I want it to display as percentage. So what I need to do is I need to come over here to the show values as. I'm going to click, and I'm going to put percentage of grand total. I'm going to press OK. And now we see here that it went from count, which is the frequency, to the percentage. We already discussed that. 45.7% are males, 54.3% approximately are females, and then that's displayed there. So that's how I get the percentages here. Now, how do I get the cumulative percentages? What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to click here. I'm going to go back to value field setting. Then I'm going to click show values as. So show values as. And again, I have no calculation here yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look for percentage of running total. Percentage of running total in. Then I'm going to click this. And then I'm going to press OK. Okay, so here I have the cumulative percentage here. So I have the frequency, I have the percentage, and I have the cumulative percentage. Cumulative percentage is, if you remember from the lecture, we take the percentage in the first category, add them to the next categories, and so on and so forth. So this is how you would create a frequency distribution in Excel. So how do we go about creating a bar chart or a pie chart or a histogram in Excel? Okay, well, what you would need to do at this point is, since we already have this pivot table created for us, what we're going to do now is we're going to click on sex, and then we're going to come over here, we're going to click insert. So we're going to click insert. Then we're going to come over here to this recommended chart section, but we're not going to click on recommended charts. We're just going to come over here to these recommended charts. So this is the bar graph. This is obviously a pie chart, and then here where it says statistic chart, that actually means histogram. It doesn't say histogram, but it's essentially what it is. Okay, so since we know that sex is nominal, we can choose either a bar graph or a pie chart. I'm just going to show you how to do a bar graph right now. So we're going to click here, and then we're going to click, let's just go with the first one, bar graph 2D column. Now, there's quite a few things here that we don't need, right? So we don't really need the frequencies, and we don't need the cumulative percentages. So I'm just going to remove both the frequencies and the cumulative percentages. So I'm going to remove them by coming down to this value section. I'm going to drag that back up here. And then I'm going to get rid of the cumulative percentage as well. Now I just have the percentage. Okay, so now it's showing the percentage of males versus females. The title is total, but we don't want that title. So we'll just put something like respondents sex. And then so we know that about 45% are males and about a little bit less than 55% are female. And that's how you go about creating a bar graph. Now, if you want to create a pie chart, it's a similar process, but also if you want to alter this bar graph in any way, make it look a little bit prettier, what you would do is you'd come up here to this design section, and then you can have like various types of graphs where it puts the percentage inside of the bar if you want to, and so on and so forth. The way you'd go about doing this if you're trying to create a pie chart is it's a similar process. You would come over here and press sex, insert, But instead of going to the bar, obviously you're going to come over here to the pie. And let's just go with the first one because that's just the simplest way to do that. Again, I don't want this title to say total, so I'm going to put respondents sex. Okay, so that lets me know that I'm looking at respondent sex. Now there's not a lot here. And because there's not a lot here, it's kind of hard to tell, well, what percentage is male, what percentage is female. So what you'd want to do is you'd want to, again, come back up here to this design section. And then you might want to check out this, you might want to click on this design because then it provides you the percentages within the different pies and stuff. This one's a little bit less colorful. So I wouldn't spend a lot of time on the design section because, you could obviously waste your time. I just think this is probably the best design for a pie chart. So that's the way you go about creating a pie chart. And the last chart that I'm going to show you how to create today is going to be a histogram. So how do you create a histogram? Well, it's actually a easier process than what we just went over. So in order to create a histogram, the first thing that you need is interval ratio level data. So what you're going to do is you're going to come over here back to the original data set. And let's just find an interval ratio level variable. And I know age is an interval ratio level variable. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click highlight age. I'm going to come over to this recommended chart section. Like I said, this insert statistic chart is actually a histogram. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to create a histogram by clicking here. And here we have a histogram displayed for the variable age. It says chart title. I want to give it the title respondents age. And I have a histogram. Like I said, I could, alter the design here if I wanted to make it look a little bit prettier or something like that. But yeah, so that's how you go about creating a histogram with an interval ratio level variable. So that's how you create a frequency distribution, a bar graph, a pie chart, and a histogram in Excel.